Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. And it is another loss to Lazio, this time in the Serie A and not the Coppa Italia. And I just want to recall what I said a few days ago, which is that Antonio Conte took a big risk in the Coppa Italia. He put all his eggs in one basket and guys, it didn't pay off. It didn't pay off. Whatever Conte was cooking, that thing was no Michelin star plate, guys. That was a disaster from Conte because not only do we not have the 3 points today, but we're also out of the Coppa Italia. And the way he managed his men once again is going to be the focus of my video here because it's clear as day that Lukaku is not on form past few weeks, and yet he played 91 minutes today with Simeone coming on in the 91st minute. I mean, Lukaku, guys, he did nothing today. Nothing. I'm not saying that he was the wrong striker for us to go and get. Look, he had his moments this season where he definitely helped us, but he is definitely one of those strikers that you cannot rely on for 38 games. And he goes through moments in a season. He's not the same Lukaku as he was at Inter. It's something that I talked about back in August that he starts off very well at all the clubs that he goes to. He scores on his debut, all that nice things. With Roma last year, it was 9 goals in his first 12 games, and then he dips. And we're getting to that moment that he dips. He's already been in that moment for a few weeks now. One lucky tap in one of the previous games should not make him stay on the field for 91 more minutes the next. And this was definitely not a game where he should have stayed on the field for 91 minutes. You have a striker like Simeone who showed that he can put the ball in the back of the net against Lazio 2 days ago. Um, you have another player like Neres who also did well 2 days ago who didn't get a lot of minutes. And I would have I would have used a lot more players from Thursday's game today because I would have tapped in to the anger of losing on Thursday if I was the coach. I would have put on two or three of them today. And it's not I'm not just saying that now. Guys, it's something that I talked about in the last live towards the end. I mean, there's proof, the videos on the internet. It's, it's there. If you guys watched the live last Thursday, I said, I hope Conte plays one or two of these guys. Or if not start them, to have them play at least 20, 30 minutes, right? Instead, Conte's first sub, Neres, came on, what, the 77th or something like this. It's not enough time to have an impact. And then two substitutions at the end in the 91st minute. When Lazio had already made three subs before we made our first. It seemed like it seems like Conte, I don't know if he's losing the dressing room, but he's not convincing me the way he's managing these players. Um, And yeah, look, it's not something new that I'm saying. If you go back to my player ratings the past few months now, you'll see that even though we've been winning games, I've only been giving Conte a 6 out of 10 at most. There's been one or two games where I've given him a 7 or an 8 out of 10, and I said, "Look, I'm giving him a 6 or 6.5 because I mean, he's getting the 3 points, but it's not convincing me some of his choices and some of the way we play." And when you play against a team that is in the lower half of the table, then your superstars can make a difference, right? And when those guys are not there, even your good level players can make a difference. Your Di Lorenzos, your Politanos, your these kind of guys can make a difference. But when you get to Atalanta, Inter, Lazio, then you need more than just individual brilliance, because these teams are organized. They have good coaches. They study you well. They isolate your best players, and the only way that you can win against these teams and get points against these teams is if you have a fluid attacking maneuver, which is something that we don't. We are out of ideas, guys. We have the same, like, we're so predictable. I'm getting tired of actually making analysis videos for you guys, because every time I take screenshots, I feel like it's always the same thing that I'm showing you. It's always the same triangle on the right hand side. Politano, Anguissa, Di Lorenzo. You guys have seen it 1 million times. I want to give you guys something new. I want to show you guys, oh, look at this new thing that Napoli is doing. Nothing. It's the same thing for 3 months. There's been nothing new that Conte has done. And I think that's one of the biggest shames, because he actually started his first month in charge with a lot of different ideas, a lot of new ideas. We had five at the back. Then at times we had three. Then at times we had four. We had a 4-3-3. We had a 2-3-4-1, a 2-4-2-3-1, whatever. We had a bunch of different things, and we were keeping opponents sort of guessing and wondering. And now it's just always the same thing, and we are so predictable that it's so easy, I think, for a team right now to play against us, because we just don't have that many things available to us going forward. Um, and I don't think Conte lacks the material. I think he's got the material on the team to change some things around. And the the new formation that he's been playing with, this 4-2-3-1, I think it definitely puts some players in better light, but ultimately it also coincided with guys like Kvara and Lukaku not performing as well as they were in the first few games of the season, right? And I wonder whether it's time now to try to recover these two players by putting them in the right conditions, by putting them in the right place on the field, and maybe going back to a 4-3-3, for example, or going back to five at the back. I don't know. Conte just has to do something, right? I don't know exactly what he might need to do, but it's very clear that what's happening now is not really working, and he needs to just tinker a little bit. We cannot just keep playing with the same starting 11 every week and not bring anything new, because we just become so predictable, right? And you can do that when your team is just so fluid and everything's going well, but the truth is that that's never been the case this season. And so you do need to change some things around. And yeah, Conte, I think for me is a lot to blame, but also some of the players today, really poor passes, really poor touches, bad decision making, couldn't find their teammates, didn't have any kind of, there wasn't any kind of emotional reaction to Lazio scoring. There wasn't that drive. And it's actually something that I brought up as well 2 weeks ago. I said, I really hope that other teams don't score before us, because I have a bad feeling about us having a positive reaction to conceding a goal. I just don't see us. I just don't see us going all out for a victory. Which is strange, because I mean, for example, last year was a horrible season, but every time we conceded a goal, which was every match, we actually, I think, did try very hard to respond. Then it never worked out, or it didn't work out many times. But there were games where I think we had a very, very strong response, even towards the end or like throughout the season. And I don't feel that now. I didn't feel that today. I didn't feel like they wanted to go all in and try to overcome this result. Definitely didn't feel that on Thursday. But I'm surprised that this is the case as well in the league. Guys, um, I'm going to get to some of your comments, guys. Gustavo Braz says, "Man, I miss Spalletti. Don't we all?" But look, even with Spalletti, there were those last 3 months where we were pretty atrocious. I mean, look, we had 7 months of incredible form under Spalletti, and then from March, April, May, and June, those last 4 months, I mean, they were not great under Spalletti. So I think there's something deeper. I think Conte was able to spur this team a little bit and give them that emotional like electroshock at the start of the season. We brought in quality players like McTominay, Buongiorno, but ultimately, I think some of the root causes of last season are still not fully solved. And one of them is that we are just not that dangerous going forward. And last season, you know, we had a few moments of greatness, let's say, from the partnership of Osimhen and Kvara. But the truth is that you cannot rely on that for each game, right? There needs to be a bit more of a team effort in attack, because you will get spells where a guy like Kvara is not able to perform, or the other team is isolating him a bit too much. And then this season we have Lukaku. We don't have Osimhen. A we don't have an someone who's athletically just so much superior to other guys on the field. I mean, Lukaku has got his strength, but for him to use his strength, he first needs to have the ball. The ball first needs to arrive to him, and it has to arrive to his feet. Whereas with Osimhen, because he was so dominant in the air and because he was so fast at running, you don't actually need to find Osimhen at his feet. You can just put a ball somewhere in the box, put a random cross in, and Osimhen might get there. Or you put a pass which is maybe 10 feet longer than it should have been, but yet Osimhen will get there because he's that much faster than the others. Now you just have to be so precise with the way that you play, because the ball has to somehow arrive at Lukaku's feet, that you really need the entire system to be so fluid, and it's just not the case right now. And so we find it very hard to get the ball towards Lukaku. And yeah, I mean, guys, rule number one of football: if you can't find your striker, you're probably not going to score. So that's what's happening with us. The maneuver is just not allowing us to find our striker. Laurentio is saying that Kvara is disappointing. I don't even think he's disappointing. Look, I think he's the best player today on the field. I'll go straight to the player ratings, guys. This is the player ratings for me. Kvara was our best player. Like, end of story. He was the one that almost scored with that free kick. I mean, it was a beautiful free kick. He was a danger in the first half on the left. He almost got us a penalty. I think it's super hard for Kvara to do what he does because he's always up against two players, and the when he receives the ball, he's so far away from the goal. He's probably 10 meters further back than what he was 2 years ago, where he would receive the ball much closer to the penalty box. And look, thank God Kvara's on the field, because at least we have something happening. But then everybody else, so poor. Lobotka lost two balls in the midfield that were super dangerous. One time they hit the crossbar, the other time they score. McTominay, yeah, he was present, but and ultimately his final touches let him down, whether it was his final touch or actually a final pass let down. Politano, not great going forward. I mean, it's crazy when you look at Politano because you see that the other team lets him do whatever he wants, right? They don't even try to press him that much. They like the ball goes to Politano and the other team is just like, okay, cool. Politano has the ball. Let him just do what he wants. Let's not press him too much because guess what? If you press Politano too much, then you have to maybe move away from another player who's potentially more dangerous than Politano, right? Um, so Politano, it seems like he does a lot because he gets a lot of the ball, but I think that's something that other teams study. They allow Politano to have a lot of the ball because they know that he's then not going to do anything useful with it. Um, or at least I don't know. I mean, there's definitely moments where he does do good things, right? When we talk about that link up between Di Lorenzo, Politano, and Anguissa, which to be honest, I'm surprised teams have not been able to find a solution to defend that because it happens every game. Um, but yeah, it seems like he's just got that in his locker at the moment, just that pass to Di Lorenzo. Um, but not much else. And then the defense, look, it was okay. I mean, guys, Rachmani getting that yellow card in the start of the second half was everything that you needed to know about where these guys' heads was at. I mean, such a stupid yellow card for a center back to get. It didn't affect this game, but if one day we have to play without Rachmani because he accumulated too many yellow cards and we have to start playing Juan Jesus in his position, and maybe that game is against a Fiorentina, an Inter, a Juventus, or whatever, one of the best teams, it will be because of this stupid yellow card that he got today, where he tried to challenge the goalkeeper. I mean, so useless, so useless. And yeah, um, Meret didn't have anything to do. Lazio had 0.2 xg. They hit a crossbar from 50 yards out, and they had a very good goal that Meret could do nothing about, but he didn't have anything to do. Ultimately, guys, the subs could not have that much of an impact, except unfortunately for Neres actually, who tried to do things positively, but what ended up happening was actually he lost the ball, and Lazio scored. Now I'm not really going to blame Neres for this defeat because he lost the ball pretty much in our in the final third. So that should never lead to then the other team scoring, right? It's never the striker's fault if you lose the ball in the final third if the team scores because there should be a mechanism with the defenders and midfielders that would allow you to recover. But clearly there wasn't. And part of the blame today goes to Lobotka, who I think could have done more to stop Lazio from scoring that goal. But ultimately, guys, it's a 3 out of 10 for Conte. This is his worst week at the club by far. Eliminated from the Coppa Italia, losing first place in the league. Now we are right in the battle for fourth spot, essentially because we have Atalanta that has skipped us, Inter and Fiorentina that are still behind us but with a game in hand. So we are essentially virtually fourth with Lazio in fifth, only 1 point behind us. So it's a huge step back in terms of league position today. And Conte, he clearly messed up. Clearly messed up this week. If he played the starters against Lazio on Thursday, and here's the thing, guys, if he played the starters against Lazio on Thursday and they would have won, maybe that would have given them the confidence to go and win today as well. And you might say, why would they need the confidence? It's only Lazio. Fine. But you know what losing did? It gave Lazio the confidence that they could beat us, right? Those players said, we can now go and beat Napoli. Yeah, it was their B team, but hey, we beat their B team. We can maybe try to beat the A team, you know? Um, and I also think that, yeah, let's use the anger of our B team, not all of it, but one or two guys, put them in our starting 11, give them a chance to do their wrongs, right their wrongs, and see how that goes. This was a game that Simeone had to start, in my opinion. Simeone had to start this game, in my opinion, because he was a good performer against Lazio on Thursday, and he would have carried the anger of losing the game. But you would have known that he would have given you something positive. Laurenti also says, I don't want to hear anyone blame Conte, but I'm sorry, but for me, this is Conte's bad decision making this week. And that's what Gustavo Braz says as well. Wanted to see more Foloruncio and Neres earlier in the game. Definitely Neres earlier in the game. Laurenti says, you guys are overreacting. Yes. Look, okay, the Scudetto, we might not win it this year. All right. So I'm not mad about this loss because we threw away a Scudetto. It's too early, for us. Not that it's too early to say, but it's too early for our growth process. But what I don't like is that things were so avoidable, and we repeat mistakes from the past. And this is something that I wish there were coaches that knew more about the history of the team, okay? Because the last time we had a back-to-back game with a team in the Serie A who we also had to face in a cup competition was Milan, right? That time it was the opposite. That time it was we had Milan in the Serie A and then in the Champions League, and we did a very similar thing where we basically did not turn up in that game in the Serie A, lost 4-0, and then in the Champions League, Milan beat us again. So there was a precedent to this where when you play a team back to back and you lose the first game, actually you're more likely to also lose the second game. So it's so important to actually go and win that first one. That's what history tells us. Also because of the way the environment in Naples works, guys. Like people, like the radios, the journalists, the TVs, they don't say, "Oh, good job, Conte. You lost on Thursday with the B team. Great. Now we can rest the players." And like they don't think like that. They think, "Oh, we lost the game. It's the end of the world." It doesn't matter if it's the Serie A, the Coppa Italia, or the Coppa del Nonno that you're playing down the street. Okay, the only thing that was on the news the last 3 days was that we lost on Thursday. Okay, and that puts a huge amount of pressure on the players, on the fans, on the coach, on everyone, and the environment just is a lot more heavy. I always say that winning helps you to keep on winning. Doesn't matter what competition. Just take a look at what happened with Man City, guys. Man City, they lost to Tottenham in the Carling Cup, not even the FA Cup. They lost to them in the Carling Cup with their B team, and that started a streak of 6 straight games without them getting a win. And we're talking about Man City, one of the best teams out there. But look at how one loss with your B team has such a huge effect downstream. And I think just people underestimate that so much, and I think that's a lot about um it's a lot down to the manager. It's a lot down to the manager also because, yeah, look, for all the reasons that we talked about on Thursday. Payman Dargar, welcome back to the live stream, says, I never saw us as Scudetto contenders. Even Opta gave a low percentage. Yeah, I think it was 4%. I hate when people just look at the table, look at the games we create too little. Yeah, look, it was clear that a few of the games kind of went our way. Like if you think about Parma, or Napoli Parma. We were losing 1-0, and then that the Parma goalkeeper did a kamikaze, and he got himself sent off, and then we were able to score two goals because they didn't have a goalkeeper. I mean, but these things happen once every 100 games, or less. So clearly, we were benefiting from some episodes the last few weeks, last few months, and yeah, the table was really as good as it could have gotten. We were leaving nothing on the table. Um, but over the course of 38 games, things balance out, right? And today, it's one of those moments where we could have walked away with a draw because Lazio didn't actually create that much, but they had a good moment go towards them, right? One little counterattack and they won. And so many times it worked well for us in the past. Now it worked for Lazio. But that's what happens when you don't dominate games, when you don't put them to bed, when you don't have the killer instinct up top. Um, so yeah, that's unfortunately what happens. Omari Lewis says this may be the sign we need to put some money in the winter transfer. Hope we learn and grow from this game. Forza Napoli, sempre. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think this requires us to dip into the De Laurentiis pockets a little bit more. Let me give a shout out to Lorenzo. Says Napoli needs to start doing more. Focusing on Serie A only isn't going to motivate players enough. 100% true on bringing Coppa Italia lineup. Yeah, my man Lorenzo. Look, I know he's an Inter fan, and so it's interesting to see what an Inter fan thinks about this, and from their experience of being quite a successful team in recent years, we see that Simone Inzaghi, he's able to manage, I think, his players to a really high level, and we should learn a little bit from that. Payman continues to say, Dom, it is not the players. Agree, subs are bad. The issue is the tactics. Conte, Allegri, Mourinho are outdated in modern football. No top club gets them. Um, I think more than the tactics, it's just that he is bad at reading games, in my opinion. I think, look, his tactics are not bad because ultimately, I'm not going to complain about the way that. Let me put it this way. Defensively, his tactics are very good. We're very solid defensively, right? Maybe we're not so fluid in attack, but I think that could be changed had we chosen a different had he done something else with his game management, is what I'm trying to say. Like, we have enough players on the bench that could make a difference from the 60th minute onwards, and Conte doesn't utilize them. But at the same time, defensively, his tactics are very good. So yeah, I think it's quite clear that we need reinforcements in the winter, says Helcom, to apply his style. Let me get to some other comments, guys, from the top. Jackson says, here we go, stupid mentality. Let's throw away the Coppa Italia because we have too many trophies, so we can also lose in the league. I hate our mentality. Let's win a trophy every 30 years instead of 5. Yeah, 100%, man. 100% agree with you. I'm so mad we threw away the Coppa Italia. Um, why did Napoli stretch time when it was 0-0? It's not like they were playing Juve, should have been more active. I agree. There was just very little motivation today to go and actually get the 3 points. It seemed like there was no urgency today. I think Kvara played good today. He cooked everyone but couldn't finish. Yeah, like a 6.5. Our best player on the field. Nothing crazy, but a bit better than average of everybody else. Blue Line says Conte mistakes in Coppa Italia match. He gave Lazio confidence. Yes, yes, I 100% agree. Lou says disappointing for sure. We need to find more spark. Kvara can't do it all, and everybody knows what's coming. Paolo says we better make it at least top 4, man. Even this looks like it's at risk. Yeah, what a season that teams like Lazio and Fiorentina are having. It's not what we need because normally with this amount of points in other years you would be quite comfortable in the top four, but it's really tight this season. And I think that teams like Juve and Milan that are like sixth and seventh, they're not completely out of it yet. They've got so much room for improvement still. Like if they somehow put things together, then it's seven teams fighting for four positions. So it's going to be interesting. Um, yeah. Let's see some more comments, guys. Didn't deserve to win, but didn't deserve to lose either, says Lex. It's clear our offensive production slash conversion has collapsed since the start of the season. DJ Community says Victor Osimhen is better than Lukaku. I want to see Simeone more and earlier in the match. Yes, all good comments, guys. Careless Yogurt says Atalanta are for sure the best team in Serie A right now. We definitely need to press higher, says Vincenzo Aiello. I agree. We'll talk about that in the analysis later. Raptor Will says Anguissa was great today. That's true. Anguissa was a bit better, but I mean, I'm not sure he was like great. I from the midfielders, I just want to see them do a bit more, especially in these games that are a bit tighter where we can't find Lukaku. I want to see the midfielders take a bit more initiative. But I think maybe looking back, the six that I gave him is a bit harsh. Maybe it should be bumped up to a 6.5. So, because he had that chance where in the first half where he took that volley, um, he had the post. But yeah, look, in the end, they weren't match winning moments. Paul says Gilmore's stats look good against Lobotka, except Gilmore has no touches in the opponent's penalty box. Lobotka has six more in the final third. He needs to work on a bit passive when he came on. Yeah, look, I mean, he gave away a ball that I think was not necessary towards the end. Other things he did all right. It's very difficult in the end to assess Gilmore's performances when he plays only 5 to 10 minutes, right? Because you get thrown into a game, especially when it's already 1-0 to the other team. You have to try to recover it. Everything's a bit more frantic. Um, it's very difficult, right? I think let's keep our analysis of those players that came off the bench today to the side because I don't want to judge them for today's game. They did not get enough minutes, and I don't think they were playing in a context that really helped them because the starters, those that were on the field, were also not playing well. So it's hard to come on and just change things around so much. Wando Lupian from I guess Juventus says, "Join us, guys! Join us, guys! Join the stress-free, no title race, chill world." That's actually a very funny comment, man. Um, yeah, look, it's frustrating, right? Juventus have problems of their own with Motta. I think they're very. I don't know because I don't follow too much what fans say in the Juventus camp, but I could assume that they're very frustrated that Motta is not able to bring the same type of football that he had at Bologna at Juventus, right? Everybody expected Juventus this season to be a better version of Bologna, and it just doesn't feel that way. It also feels like things aren't clicking, and they have a very similar problem to us, which is that their number nine is not someone that you can consistently rely on, right? With Vlahovic, he's lost. He's also, someone that you just don't know if if you can rely on him, and actually more times than not you can't. Um, it's a bit different from Lukaku. You see, I think Lukaku, there's games where he just doesn't appear. Like he just doesn't even You like there's not, it's not that he has misses, right? It's just that he just isn't there. Whereas with Vlahovic, he's a lot more present. He makes a lot more moves inside the game, but he then goes and misses. But the end product is the same. It's that you don't have a striker to rely on. I want to thank Football is Life for the $9.99 donation. It says, Dom, do you think Neres should deservedly start from now over Politano because a winger priority is going forward, not defending? Do you think Conte will change shape and tactics over the winter break? I think, guys, actually, today's game solidifies Politano's spot in the team because when Politano comes off, Neres comes on, he loses the ball, and Lazio score. And again, I don't want to blame Neres for this because it's the striker or it's the winger's responsibility to try to make things happen, to try to get past your man. And guess what? You're going to lose the ball sometimes. It's part of life, it's part of the game. It's what Napoli actually needed at that moment in the game. Someone to turn things around. But when the result is that the other team scores, and you have a manager who's already not really convinced on whether to take off Politano and to bring you on, it just solidifies, I think, more in his mind like, I should have never listened to the fans. I should have just gone my way and stuck to Politano because maybe if I stuck to Politano, we wouldn't have conceded the goal and it would have been 0-0, right? Um, so that's the risk that I see that actually this game solidifies Politano's spot even more. We don't want to see it because we want to see games with Neres who dribbles past players. But I know how Conte will interpret this. I know how Conte will think about this. Dom BX says, Sup guys, I might be one of the few ones that understood Conte's approach to Coppa. We have a thin squad, little depth, and top four is a must this year. Napoli can't afford missing out 2 seasons straight, and top four isn't guaranteed in such a tight race. We lose Buongiorno, God help us. Yeah, man. I mean, we lose Buongiorno, we're screwed, huh? Because the Coppa Italia showed how thin defensively we are. I just think that it put a lot of pressure on today, you know? And had we won on Thursday with a few more of our regular starters, it would have knocked Lazio's confidence coming into today because they would have said, wow, we cannot beat Napoli, you know? But instead, we put a B team, Lazio beat us, and they think, okay, well, we beat their B team, we might go now and beat their A team. Like, we don't know if we can beat them, but we also don't know if we're worse. Instead, if you had gone out there with your A team, or at least half of your A team, and you crushed Lazio, they would have come today demoralized at the Maradona. Instead, they came thinking, you know what, we might do this. So, um, yeah, I think we just set them up. Like, I think it totally backfired. If we did not have Lazio today, if there was any other team that we had to face today, let's say today was Napoli Bologna, for example, then I think it would have made more sense to play our B team in the Coppa Italia because Bologna would not have gained anything out of it. Whereas because I think it's back to back, I think you gotta go and you gotta crush that team in the first game, man. You gotta crush them because we saw that that's what happened to us with the Milan game 2 seasons ago, where they crushed us in the first game, and that helped them win the second one. So yeah, I think just lesson learned for next time, man. Whoever's gonna be our next coach or whenever this thing happens again to us, maybe with Conte, just just try to win one game at a time, um, especially when it's back to back. Yeah. Um, so yeah, guys, that's what I think. Let's go into just what happened in the game. Let's recap it very quickly. So look, the same old thing that we do on the right hand side between Politano and Di Lorenzo. McTominay does well to get himself a bit of space, but ultimately the goalkeeper saves his effort. So we actually start the game quite well, but then it's just Lazio, and they finally end up being dangerous really for the first time with this effort here that Meret has to save. I think this is quite a standard save for Meret because it's not too high, not too low. It's actually pretty central. It's not, on the corner. So I'm not going to give Meret any kudos here for saving this effort. I just think it's a standard save that he had to make. But, Lazio was starting to show that they can get at us. And then there were a few moments in the first half where we were so close to having a penalty, but it was ultimately not going to be, right? This is a handball that I think it's Nuno Tavares does right outside the box. So, look, VAR can't intervene, and this for me is just so stupid. It's so stupid that VAR cannot intervene because this would have been a super dangerous free kick, you know? It's a clear goal scoring opportunity because here Politano's trying to play a pass in towards Scott McTominay. It's blocking a clear goal scoring opportunity. If you give the free kick, it's another goal scoring opportunity that the team has to make up for it. It's so clear. Like these things are black and white. Like a handball like this, it's black and white that the referee made a mistake because I mean his hand is completely in an unnatural position. You always have to have your hands behind your back when the when you're in front of a striker. Everybody knows that. It's a clear black and white decision, and no, VR cannot intervene because it's not in the box. I mean, it's the dumbest rule. It's the dumbest rule ever, and I hope this gets changed. I hope. And okay, fine. We don't want to have VAR on every single little thing that happens on a football field. Fine. I also agree with that. But apart from the things that happen in the box, give each team three chances, three calls that they can make throughout the game to intervene when they deem fit. It it's something that's been happening that happened a lot in tennis. I don't know if they still do that now or if it's like the challenge or if it's just automatic now with technology. Like they just know whether things are in and out. But before, I remember there used to be like that you could challenge and use the line technology when you think it's fit to use. And if you get it right, then you keep your three challenges. And if you get it wrong, they remove one from you. I don't see why we can't do this in football because it's not going to waste more time. It's just a matter of looking at a replay that will take 2 seconds and then being like, yep, it's a clear and obvious free kick. So I don't know. I don't know why this doesn't happen. But yeah, look, we had other chances as well. I think, that maybe are not super clear to the naked eye, but when you look back on it, you see like, oh, I wish we had done things with a bit more quality. Like, for example, this is Politano here, uh, cutting inside to his left foot. There's a few players going into the box, and then you actually have both Kvara and Oliveira making a run in behind the Lazio defenders who are badly shaped. One of the few moments in the game where they are not in the right position, but Politano just puts in a ball into the box without reading the game really. So he puts it kind of in that penalty penalty spot area, but if he had lifted it to the second post, it would have been perfect for either Oliveira or Kvara. And I really miss the Lorenzo Insigne and Jose Callejon relationship where we used to do this every weekend for 5 years in a row back in the day, with, you just knew that Callejon was going to be in that second post. Lorenzo Insigne would ping it over there, and it'd be more often than not a goal, especially in Callejon's first season for Napoli. But it's like we've completely lost. Well, we don't have the same players, but we've completely forgotten that this is something that worked. Um, and yeah, I mean, in the end, why why don't we ever do that? Why don't we ever find Kvara on the second post from one of Politano's crosses? It's something that I just don't understand why it's not something we use more often. But yeah. Anyways, then we get to this other moment here where, look, VAR had a look. They probably said, "Yep, it's a foul, but it's outside the box. We can't give the penalty." Okay, fine. You can't give the penalty, but give us the foul, right? I mean, this is again another super dangerous free kick. Um, that we don't get. It's now two free kicks right outside the penalty area that Napoli don't receive. And all these things add up, right? Maybe nothing would have happened here. Maybe we don't get a goal. But still. By the way, I'm gonna end the poll that you guys were responding to. Somehow the majority of you think that there is a 20 to 50% chance of the Scudetto. So you guys are seriously still on the hopium train. Um, I think it's less than 20. I think it's less than 20. How did McTominay do? Says Polski Memiraz. He did okay. Nothing good. I don't think it was one of his best games. A few bad decisions. Actually, I gave him a 5 out of 10 today. Um, Supposedly speaking, says Helcom, if you were the Napoli coach, how do you approach the final third of the game? I would have put on Simeone for Lukaku, but already in the first half, like between the first and second half, because it was clear that he wasn't performing. And I would have tried to put Kvara a bit closer to to the final third. So maybe I would have switched to a five at the back, freed Kvara a bit of defensive duties because you have that extra defender. So I would have maybe brought on Spinazzola, uh, and yeah, I would have played five at the back and taken off Lukaku and played Simeone. Then I would have put on Neres way earlier than what we did. Um, but I think it's clear that we needed to change things around much sooner, and to be a bit more unpredictable. But yeah, but guys, look, the first half was almost gonna end 1-0 for Napoli. I mean, this Kvara free kick was so close, unfortunately. But look, the biggest issue today, and why I would have taken also Lukaku off, was because we did not press Lazio at all. They were able to very calmly play from the back, right? This is a moment in early in the second half, so not towards the end of the game, not when people are tired. They just had a 15-minute break to rest. They've had their they've had their tea. They come back, and no one's pressing. We have, I think that's Kvara running after the ball, but it's a solo press, one man against seven Lazio players who are all ready to receive the ball. And Lukaku is just ball watching. He's not in a body shape where he's pressing. He's not running after the goalkeeper. He's not, you know, putting pressure or anything like that. He's just chilling. And when you don't press, guys, when you don't press, then it's a problem. And look, Antonio Tonti is not saying something bad, eh? That we need Chucky back. Now, I was not a big fan of Chucky because I thought that technically he was one of our worst players. But what that guy had was the desire to win the ball. And he drew a lot of fouls. This is something that we miss a lot. Like, he would get so many people yellow carded, and he would get so many, like, he would be so good at pressing that it was an underrated element of his game. But yeah, guys, we didn't press Lazio, and then we were weak in our challenges. We were losing the ball in the midfield. This is Lobotka losing the ball, and then we almost concede a goal here. Meret's position, let's not even talk about it. But they hit the crossbar here. We hit the post after from a corner, but this was one good corner out of the maybe 6 or 8 that we had. All the others were horrible, guys. I mean, they were not even close to a Napoli player hitting the ball with the head. They were always too far. So this was kind of it's also a bit of a shame because you think, wow, the one corner that we had that we actually found the group of players, we won the ball. All the other corners, they were way, 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 way out of like where the players even were, you know? And then yeah, here look, we're trying to do things that don't fit Lukaku's style, like McTominay giving Lukaku a long ball, like a through pass. He's never gonna reach it in time, and so obviously the goalkeeper gets there before him. And this is where we lose the ball, guys. 77th minute or 78th, actually. Lazio defending deep, but able to win the ball and then immediately counter. And here Lobotka could have done much more to stop Lazio from countering. But ultimately, guys, it was a good goal because it was a good pass to um, Isaacsen, and then Oliveira doesn't do enough to push him out of his weak foot position. I think Oliveira here should have done much more to limit him on his left foot, should have pushed him wide, should have cut, like predicted that he would cut inside much more. I mean, we're not dealing with Arjen Robben, this should have been a bit more avoidable, and then actually it was a very good shot that Medic could do nothing about. There was a weak attempt of getting a penalty from Di Lorenzo. There was a bit of a shirt tug. I think Di Lorenzo goes down a bit quickly. I think, yeah, look, it's a shirt tug. Maybe it's a penalty. It was a bit soft. I would have felt a bit hard done by if we conceded a penalty like that, even though probably if it was the other way around, they would have given the penalty. But yeah, look, here there were moments where like just very poor, right? 5 minutes to go. You have to play a simple pass to your winger and it gets intercepted. Things like this. Or here, last few minutes of the game, you have a Lazio player on the ground. Two Napoli guys go and try to win the ball. Lazio player wins the duel. And actually, our two players are on the ground. You know? Like, how do we lose a 2 against 1 with someone that's on the ground? And how do we get two of our players on the ground? Um, so yeah, guys, let's see what Conte says, okay? And then we end the live. And make sure that you guys are smashing that like button because it's not for Napoli, it's for me. And if you're not yet subscribed, man, you are heartless if you do not subscribe because I am so close to 5,000 that if you don't subscribe, you are actually doing this on purpose at this point. Like you are actively trying to not make me achieve my dreams, okay? No, it's not that deep. But guys, do subscribe if you haven't. Conte's press conference and see what he says. I'm curious about this one. Uh, so they ask him what was missing today. Was it the attack? He says no, it wasn't that the attack was missing because we attack with 11 and defend with 11. Today the game confirms that we're actually on the right path. I'm convinced about this. We work to being a aggressive team. Today it happened. I don't think that happened. I don't know what Conte is talking about. I just spoke the last 5 minutes about how we lost a lot of duels and we were not aggressive, and Conte's out here saying that we were, trying to gaslight us. Bro, Conte is like, I don't know, but the past few press conferences, someone unsubscribed. Oh my! I just refreshed my page and someone unsubscribed. Right after I said to please subscribe. This person, if I find out who you are, oh my god, man. Now that I respect your game. I respect it because that's funny. But you I'm laughing because it's funny, but you are a horrible person, man. Whoever did that, fair play, that's funny, but you're horrible, man. Oh my god. Please just go and resubscribe. It was funny the 10 seconds that it lasted, but I will find your IP address, man. I'm kidding. I don't I don't have the time to do that. And it's pretty funny whatever you just did. But don't, guys, don't follow his. It's funny once, then the joke is not so funny when it repeats. Anyways, they say, let me focus again on Conte. I should have never refreshed my subscriber count. Let's get back into this. So they said, so Conte says in the last third of the game, we could have done much more. We're working towards that in this period. There's a lot of uh, there was a quality goal that went against us from Isaacsen. And look, that can happen at times that your team, pulls a little bit the rabbit out of the hat. But today the players gave everything, and it's okay to lose a game like this against a team like Lazio. It can happen. They say, look, were you like not cynical enough? How can you explain this? And he says the explanation is that we need to involve more players in the final third. We have to um, have a lot more quality in the crosses and a lot more like anger in front of goal. Um, we just did not do that enough. But it's not a matter of just the attackers, but also the midfielders. We have to work a lot harder and have a bit more quality in that final pass and that final cross. That's for sure. We were too, yeah, just not good enough really in the final third. Um, they then say, look, you don't concede many shots, but Napoli has the seventh best attack in the league. Is that good enough? And he says, um, look, to be solid at the back means that you're doing a great piece of work in the training ground. We are trying to improve going forward, but at the moment, this is what it is. We're not able to maybe sometimes bring the bit of quality that we need. We have to make sure that we get into the final third um, with the confidence that we can put the ball in the back of the net, and sometimes we don't maybe have that. We have to also try a bit harder from set pieces, but yeah, we know that if we want to win, we have to score goals. Two defeats in 2 games. They ask him, are these results going to help you grow, or are they alarm bells? And he says, it would be an alarm bell if I didn't see reactions on the field. Today we were better than Lazio. I told the players that we're on the right path, that things like this can happen, but we gotta move on. Look, I don't necessarily agree with Conte, right? I think that there are a little bit some alarm bells that should be ringing. I didn't see the reaction that Conte is referring to. I don't think we dominated the game. I don't think we started the game very well. We had that chance in the first 2 minutes with McTominay, but then it was all Lazio for the next 25 minutes. We had a good last 10 minutes of the first half, and in the second half, we were pretty pretty poor with some of our passing and finishing and all that. So yeah, I don't see the reaction, right? Like, especially after the Lazio goal, I think we were pretty flat after that. So yeah, guys, that's the situation right now. In terms of the predictor game, for those that are interested, there's not too many that are interested. But this month, it is uh, Daniel Bowen that's actually still. This has to be refreshed because that's the November one. Let's refresh the page. It should be, because this is saying November, it should be December now. But I will fix that. I will fix that. It's let me fix that now actually. Because it should be someone else that's leading, because that's saying November, and I think in December it's different. So if I check what it says, bear with me for 2 seconds. Let me refresh. There we go. Yeah, it's someone else. There we go. I will now go back to that page and show you, where is it? Here. There we go. You see, it's Brian with 6 points in December winning. But anyways, guys, make sure you do participate in that game if you are a member of Napoli Talk, because at the end there's prizes to be won. You can, for example, win a shirt or a hat or whatever. Last year, the first three guys all won prizes, and quite nice prizes as well, because everything that gets collected basically gets put in a pot, and then those people win stuff. So yeah, and we saw actually Brian win in October, and he gave his few minutes of thought on the Napoli situation in the last live. We're gonna try to plan a video with the November winner in the next few days and weeks, so you get a chance to get your opinion out to everybody. Paul has become a member of Club Azzurro, so welcome to the members page, Paul. Paul says that the person that unsubscribed was probably Meret or Politano. Yeah, I was not kind to Politano today. Um, Guys, it's a disappointing end to the week. Not a great week for us, but let's bounce back and yeah, let's think about the next games that we have, okay? Look, Napoli next have, in theory, an easier opponent with Udinese and Genoa and Venezia coming up in the next few weeks. We finally end this crazy cycle of games that we've had all the way back since October 29th. Guys, we've had Milan, Atalanta, Inter, Roma, Lazio twice, and Torino in our last 7 games. This was a extremely difficult month and a bit for us. We knew that this was going to happen. Now let's go back to facing teams that are a bit lower down in the league, and let's see if we can go back to winning ways. Right, guys, that is everything for me. I hope you enjoy your week that's going to come up, and see you for the next one. But actually, the next one will be against Udinese on my birthday. So that might be a bit tricky for me to go live on because I will probably be, well, I'll be in Naples next week. I'm flying Thursday and spending, well, the entire month. But I'll be with the family. We'll go out for pizza and everything. So it might be difficult to go live because it will be that Udinese game and then probably pizza with the fam. So yeah, maybe I'll just do a reaction video the day after or something like that. Even though it would be cool as well to speak to you guys on my birthday. But anyways, guys, we'll decide that next Saturday. And have a good week, guys. Ciao.